Hi, guys. So Kit's running behind. I'm going to do Q&A if anybody wants to do Q&A until she gets here. She had a tattoo appointment at 5. Well, she was tattooing somebody at 5, and she was a little worried she's going to be running behind, and I don't have her yet, so I guess she's still running behind. Sorry, guys. We're just waiting for Kit. I don't know who's been in and out. So if you've got any questions or you want to, actually, you know what? While we're waiting on her, anybody want to just invite somebody and add them in? If she's too far behind, I'll just reschedule unless you guys have some questions. Today's topic seems to be a hot button for some people when it comes to spicy content, if you will. Hi, Tony. I wish I could see who is actually viewing so I could talk to you guys all like directly. Tony, how's it going down in Florida? Hi, John. Hi, Rhea. John, have you done anything fun and exciting photography-wise here lately? Okay. Rhea, how have you been doing? How's modeling going? Anything new and exciting? Any questions on today's topic before our guest gets here eventually? Anybody who's coming in from the DMV group at the moment, we're waiting on Kit. She was worried that she was going to she had to do a tattoo appointment at 5, and she was worried she might be running behind, and it seems as she is. So I'm happy to answer questions or if anybody wants to chat on the live. Oh, John, I'm going to see you at the Faye Festival. You're going to be there Saturday. I'm going to be there Saturday as well too. I'll have to try to track you down. Rhea, which May event are you talking about? Oh, okay. Okay. I gotcha. Yeah, that one looks like it has a good lineup of people. I'd be curious to see how that goes for you guys. Oh, I forget that I can put your comments on here. There we go. Because that's the one at Scott Church, right? Actually, Rhea, you wanna go live with me while we wait on Kitty? Okay, it's in Maryland for that one. I've seen the post go around for it. I knew Mandari was probably heading it, or Tiffany. Photographing the music. Okay. Well, then I will try to find the music. Oh no, Rhea, what got you? All right, Tony, I'm reading yours. Just passed your first exam. Down. Oh, I'm so jealous of the weather. That's awesome, though. I'm excited for you. I hope that works out for you. I know that was something you were looking forward to. Actually, Rhea, why I've got you, since as far as I know, you're the only model in the group at the moment. What's your stance? Do you have a spicy site like a lot of the models do, or do you just model? Anybody who just hopped onto the live, Kitty's running behind, so we're just waiting on her. So I'm just doing Q&A and chatting with everybody until she gets here. Hopefully she'll be here shortly. Happy to answer any questions or talk about the topic at hand. So Rhea, do you how often do you model? Is modeling what you do full time, or do you do something else and then you model when you have time? Sorry guys, if you're just chiming in because I can see all the numbers changing. I'm still waiting for Kitty. She's running behind, so I'm just doing Q&A and chatting with everybody till she gets here. I'll reschedule if she doesn't show up in like the next 20 minutes or so. Who else do we have on here? Okay, I see your comment, Rhea. Yeah, doing the creative stuff and the traveling and then all the work and effort that you guys put into it can be exhausting. I mean, even for me with the traveling sometimes, but let alone the content here lately, trying to keep up with the content and shoot and schedule to be somewhere. I get it. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. People don't always see like all the stuff that happens in the background. Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Mandari. I just saw your comment. Where did it go? Why isn't it over here? I can't put it on the screen. I don't know. Yours isn't on here for some reason. That's so weird. Anyway, thank you about my hair comment. I actually, while you're here, we're still waiting on Kitty. Unfortunately, she's running behind. I may have to reschedule. We'll see how it goes. But I almost pulled a Mandari today. I had somebody inbox me on Facebook, and I told them, I'm like, hey, I use this profile for my photography, for my professional photography. How can I help you? And then I think he sent me a thumbs up. And then later he sent me, I don't know, like 2 pictures in Spanish, like 2 like quotes or whatever. I almost sent him what you do, where you're like $50 to have a conversation, $100 to have a conversation in Spanish. Ria, I see your comment about being an investment. Absolutely. Pandora, I have no clue why yours aren't popping up for me to share, but yes, I think I will do it. The next one who does it, I'll do it, and then I'll grab a screenshot for you. Basically, pull a Mandari. I always get a kick out of it when you share those. Does it work? Like, do they actually like? Does anybody ever actually pay you money when you send the link to like continue a conversation? So I am out of town on the 20th. I know. I don't come back. I'm in South Carolina. I'm going down for bike week. My girlfriend Jamie is down there. So that's why you guys won't see me on the 20th. I'm sorry. I'm gone from the 13th through, I think it's the 21st. Okay, John. What part of you should catch up on nature photography and fishing? Now, are you going to photograph fishing or just going to like combine both of them? I'm looking forward to your Airbnb pool shoot. I think that'll be fun. Anybody who's joining right now, Kit's running behind. She runs behind too much longer. I'll reschedule for next Wednesday or maybe another day where maybe we can pull together. But right now, I'm just answering questions and kind of chatting with everybody till she gets here. Okay, John, I get it. Yeah, Mandari, I'm bummed too. I love you guys. I love all of you guys though. So it's like every time I get to hang out with you guys, like it's fun just to kind of hang out with you guys. Regardless of whether we're shooting or not, it's fun to hang out. I actually while I have you guys, we're working on, I say I'm working on, and Jim and Larry are supportive as always. I want to put together a networking event that has nothing to do with shooting, just like kind of a meet and greet, but just kind of everybody to like actually have some time to have a conversation and maybe catch up, ask each other questions, whatever it is that we want to do. I'm probably going to try to do something outside, but I'm having a really hard time deciding on where to do it because I don't want it to cost a small fortune and I want to have it catered. I know there's a spot out here in Marshall, Virginia that I can have it, but so many of the people in the DMV group are also in Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, like everybody's kind of like on the East Coast. So I want to try to put it in a location where everybody's willing to travel to. I love your enthusiasm, Ria. I'll see Mandari. I don't know why Mandari yours aren't coming up. I can see them in the group, but I can't see them on my screen to share them. I've never had anybody pay when I send money requests like that. the people that pay are upfront about their intentions, so it's transactional. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, let me know what you decide on that shoot. I'll be there. Anything with the pool this year. I think the underwater photography is probably going to be my biggest focus this year. I attempted to work with Anastasia and Kazi on Monday, but I was late. So by the time I got there, it was entirely too cold for them. Oh, your accounts. Oh, okay. Are your accounts restricted right now? Okay. That makes sense as to why I might not be able to see it in the actual feed, because I can see everybody else's from StreamYard, but I can only see it when I'm actually in the group. Yeah, so I ended up finding I ended up going back and I had an outfit for each one of them that I was able to edit. I'll probably try to get those out tomorrow. All right, where is Miss Kitty? I'm sorry, guys. I don't know where she is. She hasn't reached out. She hasn't seen my Facebook message, so I'm not sure where she's at the moment. Hi, Laura. Let's see. Probably the fact that we're without our guest of honor. Actually, Mindari, you have a spicy site, correct? If I remember correctly. Actually, at this point, Mindari, do you want to go live with me at this point? And we'll wait and see if Kitty shows up. So when you guys get flagged, do they actually tell you which picture it is or what the reason was for being flagged? All right, Mindara, you said you have Patreon and just nudes. Okay. Do you have one flat rate for your Patreon? Hi, Jacob. Thank you. I always appreciate the hair comments. The teenagers in my world call it my hero hair. Actually, you know what, Mandari? That's fine. You don't actually have to go on video for this. You can do just audio if you want. It's completely up to you. Oh, Jacob, you're sweet. John, what did you get flagged for? Hi, Jim at Midnight Road Garage. All right, let me get Mandari in here. That way we can have a conversation where everybody can interact. All right, I just sent the link to you, Mandari. We'll see if Kitty shows up. Otherwise, you can help keep us entertained. Let's see what happens. And give it a shot. All right. John, I think I asked you, what did you get flagged for? How did they handle that? Jacob, are you a photographer? I don't remember off the top of my head. Or are you just following just to check out the content? I can't remember. Oh, I could see how that might be an issue. I actually get fussed at all the time because I don't say I'm going to go photograph somebody. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go shoot. They're like, oh, you have a gun? No, sure don't. Not that I'm opposed to them by any means. right. Hopefully we'll have Mandari here in a second, and still no word from Kitty. So probably going to have to. Oh, there she is. Let me see. Let me get you in.
Is it working?
Hi. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, hi. I
Well,
figured technology out. I can't believe it because usually I'm the one that's like there for 10 minutes trying to figure it out.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, major
So
accomplishment.
with your Patreon, so instead of doing OnlyFans, you opted for Patreon. I know a lot of people go to OnlyFans. What was the decision making behind that for you?
Uh, so for me, I had initially had a page called Is My Girl, and which is kind of like the same thing, but it's like less like it's people don't judge so hard because it's less known, I guess.
Okay.
Um, and also I had other models say that they used it and they liked the platform. So I was like, let me try it. Like I don't make any like actual P word, like I just do nude stuff. So I was like, if the pressure is less on this site, because I feel like on OF they expect you to do, I don't know if I can say the word on Facebook or not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
But
know.
I
We
feel
can
like
keep it PG-13.
yeah, so if they expect you to do the P word adult stuff, that's like a pressure I didn't want because I just no judgment on anybody that does it. It's just not for me.
Sure.
Um, so when I got on there, it was still a situation where that was being pressed. It was like people were joining because they expected it, they thought you did it, and if you didn't, it was like difficult to sell your content. I mean, and like there's plenty of other ways to make content with noodle stuff, you know what I mean? Like
Right, right. Well,
it's
and
just I just
I'm
don't
gonna
do any of
interrupt
that.
you real quick. So,
Mhm.
Laura, to answer your question, Kitty had posted a post that a lot of people had questions about because I think everybody's kind of on both sides of the fence on this one, and I wanted to have the conversation with her to get her point of view on it. And her post was, I will say this again: photographers have zero business subscribing to a model's OnlyFans. Period. You don't need to be on my page to decide if that's the type of work you want to shoot. My portfolio is on Instagram for everybody to see, and you don't need to go on my inappropriate site to see if I'm a model you would like to shoot or any model for that matter. Some people have an issue with it, and a lot of people have talked to me about it. That was one of the reasons I reached out to her to see if she wanted to have a conversation about it. Some people, the way they view it, and also, hi, Pinky, hi, Angel, love you both. Um, some people are on the side of the fence where if somebody's going to their OnlyFans and they have, intimate content, do they really want to work with them in person? Because it can make for an awkward experience when they've been sexualized, if you will, from their OnlyFans versus being in person, where maybe that photographer is going to have a different expectation about how that shoot's going to go. But Mandara, you said you have a different approach to it, correct? Because my thought on it is, wouldn't you want the extra funding from the subscriber? But I get where it could be uncomfortable.
Yeah, so I do have a different perspective on it. Um, and just to finish up my thought, like I don't sell that kind of content that's on OF. So like this is coming from a place of I don't do it, I wouldn't do it. I don't judge those that do it. But if I were to do it, this is what my opinion is. So like I just to me, I feel that everybody's intentions could be different. Like I've had a
Okay.
lot of photographers say, "Hey, if you want, I'll subscribe to this and help support you." Like, now it's another thing if you're selling individual videos for extra money and they're like buying those. I think that's really
Sure.
awkward and weird.
I
I
can see that.
think, yeah, that would be kind of awkward and weird to me because now, like, you're a fan, you're a client. It's not
Yeah,
like
that
I feel like that
professional
would be excessive. Yeah.
that
Now you're looking at me
professionalism
like,
seems to be gone.
right, now we're entering into you're a fan and you're watching videos of me, and that's it just seems to me that's kind of over the edge and inappropriate. But if they're
Okay.
just subscribing to the feed, like with a monthly fee, and it came from a genuine place of support, most of the time the stuff that comes up in that feed is because people are charging like $10 a month or less. So it's gonna
Yeah,
just be like photos to advertise the other stuff that they may be selling.
that makes
I don't
sense.
see anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? But it also depends on individuals' some people I think just give a straight creepy vibe all the time, unfortunately.
Yeah, I get
Um,
that. I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Pinky,
mhm,
hold tight. If you want, I'll bring you in at some point in time a little bit later. I sent you a message. Let's see, what did Laura just say? But at that point, wouldn't you just keep them as a sub and choose not? Yeah, so that's kind of the point is
mhm,
there, I think there's a hard balance sometimes once somebody has a stigma attached to them. That's what I'm seeing a lot with the modeling world is
mhm.
once somebody has deemed that that individual is potentially an issue, they just cut them off essentially. So I think that's more of what's happening. I would agree with you at that point. Once they subscribe and they're interacting, I think it would be
Yeah.
one thing, kind of like Mandari, what you said. If they were
Mhm.
just looking and they haven't commented, they haven't asked for anything special, fine.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
curious about what else you're doing.
Yeah.
But Laura, to your point, I kind of agree with you. I think using them as a subscriber or utilizing them as a subscriber and just going, okay, we can no longer do photography. There's a lot of models that even photographers too, because one of my big things is I don't date anybody in this world. Like there's never going to
Mhm.
be a situation where I'm going to date somebody that I've photographed. All right. But a lot of photographers and models, what they'll do is they'll go, okay, if we're going to pursue this, I'm no longer working with you professionally. Because at that point in time, that's where the drama seems to happen.
Yeah. I also think that there's like I think people are quick to jump to like being offended and exposing people sometimes
I
when a
agree.
conversation could have just been had. Like, if somebody subscribed to my Patreon and I was uncomfortable with it and they weren't buying extra content, they were just in my feed, then I would just go to them and be like, hey, what's up with this? Like, what are you doing? And if they're
Sure.
like, I just wanted to support you, okay, understood. Um, Respect for you, but I'm not okay with it. So can you just like not, or do you want to just like discontinue the professional portion of our relationship and just be a fan, or like what do you want to do? Because I feel like it's when you jump to a conclusion like that, you can really hurt somebody's reputation if their intentions aren't bad.
Oh, sure. No, I mean, I agree with you. I
Mhm.
think that's some of what happens though is some people are very good at adulting and
Mhm.
interacting, and then
Yes.
some people not quite so much.
Yeah.
So some people where, you're going to be like, all right, look, some people can't necessarily have that conversation. They still might be able to have one, but sometimes it depends on approach. And then that's the other thing, perspective in this
Yes.
whole industry is that it
Mhm.
be the make or break point. Like how I
Mhm.
perceive that you talk to me or how I perceive that, you touched my arm, whatever it is, that
Yeah.
really seems to be a big thing.
Yeah. I mean it's like on one hand I get it, but it's just like so over the top sometimes, I think, like with
Sure.
people's reaction, like knee jerk reactions to things without just like discussing it. Like we're all adults here, and it's easy to just say, hey, like what is your intentions here? Like what are you doing? And then making a
Yeah.
decision on how to move forward. So
Well, that was my curiosity. That was actually, I intentionally did not have a conversation with Kitty about this before, like actually
mhm,
setting up the live, because
yeah.
I wanted to have kind of a natural conversation. Like I didn't want to have information up front. So that was my
Yeah.
curiosity question too, is when you
Hmm.
work with, but I guess there's two things that happen. There's
Hmm.
photographers you've worked with, and then there's photographers that eventually want to work with you. And I could
Yeah.
see where that eventually pool, she wouldn't necessarily be able to go, hey, we've worked together. Here's my boundary. Because with the photographer she's working with, she'd go, hey, here's my boundary. You cannot subscribe to my OnlyFans or whatever spicy content site they
Hmm.
have, um,
Yeah.
or that null and voids me working with you. That part I could
Yeah.
see. I guess it would be the ones that you don't know are following you until you know, and then they reach out. That I could
Yeah.
see being a little bit more awkward.
Yeah, that's true too. It's very true. But in the same token, like I feel like should it be standard that nobody supports models by subscribing to their spicy sites that they only share photos on or like advertisements on, you know what I mean? Is that standard, or is that something that some people are more accepting of as long as they're not buying extra content, you know what I mean? So like is this something to completely like write somebody off for and get mad and expose them and ruin their career over, or is it simply that they were trying to be supportive and thought that as long as I'm not buying extra content, it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's
Everybody has a difference of
situational.
opinion on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
situational. And I think as
Hmm.
long as you're open and upfront about it, it's whatever you
Yeah.
choose at that point.
Yeah.
Laura, are you a photographer or a model? Since you've had questions on the topic, just curious. Now with your Patreon, is your Patreon lucrative? I have built one, I haven't launched one.
So it can be if you promote it often. Like there's
Okay.
been times where, you can make $450 to $500 a month just on the subscriptions.
Okay.
If I'm lazy about it, if I'm lazy, I might make $150, $200 in a month. But
Okay.
also you can make videos and like extra special picture sets to sell, like photo sets, and
I
those
gotcha.
make extra money. It's a good tool to put my portfolio on for anybody to see, but also it's a good tool to like advertise to buyers that I have this other content.
I gotcha.
So
I gotcha.
mhm,
That makes sense.
yeah.
Laura, you're a model. What type of modeling do you do? Let her do that. All right. I think I'm going to snag Pinky real quick. Do you want to hang in there to stay on, or you want me to let you go?
No, I'll go. That way, you guys can speak freely and stuff. I can go on
Okay.
Facebook and chime in if I see something or say you want to say something.
Okay, honey. Thank you for joining
Okay.
me.
Yeah, good talking to you.
Bye, honey.
Bye.
Oh, man, Daria, I should have talked to you about your event. All right. I'm going to talk to Pinky, and then I might bring you back so you can talk about your event. I didn't even think about it. All right. Let me send this to Pinky here real quick. Pinky, hopefully you're still with me. Okay. Oh, good. You're ready. You're so smart. All right. I sent you the link so that you can log in. Well, I don't know what happened to Kitty. I feel bad. I really wanted to have a conversation with her. Her husband was supposed to be joining us too, because he has a stance on it from an amateur photographer point of view, from what Kitty was saying. So I'm sad that she's not on here, but I'm glad we can chat. Okay. So Laura, you had a friend. Oh, there's Pinky. You had a friend that thought it would be a cool thing for you guys to do together. Do you guys still do it together now, even now? Hi.
Hi. I'm
How
at
are you,
work.
beautiful? It's
I'm at
okay.
work. Sorry.
You
I'm
go out
good.
there. You go out there and save lives.
I do.
I
Actually,
know you do.
it gives me a unique perspective on this whole thing because I have an OnlyFans and
Yeah.
some of the people I work with subscribe to my OnlyFans. So
Interesting. How do you feel about that?
I feel like, okay, when I first started modeling, I had no intention of modeling nude. I had no intention of doing any of this. I kind of like, I think you and I talked about this before. It was kind of like an expression of repressed things that I can't say.
Right.
And
Sure.
like, I've gotten more comfortable in my own skin. And also, I realize coming from a generation that didn't have the internet and grew up with it, that anything you put on there, you're making fair game. Like, whether you think you have a private profile or not, people can Google things and find things. So, like, instead of hiding it, I've kind
You
of
just owned
embraced
it.
it. And I've been like,
Yeah.
you know what? If I go on a call and you've seen my, my burp hole, good for you. I hope you left me a tip. Like, it doesn't change who I am as a person in any way. Now, I have had people probably that I've worked with that have subscribed to my OnlyFans in the modeling world too. I feel like I'm like Mandari in the sense that if you cross a line that you wouldn't professionally, like
Yeah.
you should never do that. Like
Right.
if you want to work with someone in a professional setting, you got to set the tone by being a professional. And I also have my spicy site set up so that you don't get all that fun stuff unless you pay extra. So
Sure.
like you're gonna see the artistic stuff I do, the cheesy stuff I do, because I'm lazy.
Sure.
And I'll just lay in bed and be like, "Meh," and take a picture, and that's how I post for the day. But I personally handle things in a private way. So if I'm ever
Okay.
uncomfortable with something, I straight up will tell you. I will message you and be like, yo, that wasn't cool. We don't do
Right.
that. And I verbally set a boundary. And if someone crosses that boundary, then I deal with that then. If someone ever makes me feel uncomfortable, then I'll just block them. Like from
Okay.
anything. Like if I feel
Sure.
like if someone just makes you feel like they're a creep, like I wouldn't with them. Like if you just don't feel safe, block them from everything. That's the one great thing that
Sure.
there is about all these sites and stuff is that you can just choose to block somebody. But that's my
Right.
personal opinion. I'm not hating on. I feel like Mandari said it's a personal choice. It's a
Yeah,
personal
agreed.
preference. But like you don't know who has seen your burp hole. Okay? You don't. And I'm
Yeah.
saying it like that on purpose.
I know.
Hopefully we don't get in any trouble, but like you don't know. I mean, I have a guy whose name is literally like a joke from The Simpsons that Bart Simpson used to call into the bar and ask Mo
Okay.
to after this person. Like he subscribed and that's his name. No, it's not.
Okay.
So how do I know who he is? I don't. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a risk you take
Yeah,
when you
I get it.
create content like this.
Oh,
So
I agree with you. I agree.
I'm sorry, I ramble.
No, no, you're fine. Real quick, we're gonna say hi to we got Ron Holiday. Hi Ron. Nice to talk to you again. Talked to you yesterday. Larry, I have no clue what this is the way means. And then good Mandara, you're still here. And actually, Laura, I want to get back to you real quick. Do you want to discuss what happened? Do you want to tell us what your bad experience was? I'm opening the floor for you if you want to. That is not a pressure thing. I very much agree with the fact that it's personal. You make that choice based on what your comfort level is. I like the fact that you're willing to be vocal about it. I think sometimes what happens is people are uncomfortable, but they don't want to have that conflict situation. Like they don't want to have that confrontation essentially, because that's the uncomfortable part. I also think that the internet gives so much anonymity that I think people are a little bit more brazen and bold when it comes to the internet. So you don't always know what you're going to get anyway.
No. And, I wish the community was a less toxic place. And like,
Agreed.
I wish I could tell you, or I could sit here and be comfortable and having a conversation with you about as an intelligent woman, not as a model. I'm not saying that models aren't intelligent, but I'm saying like as an intelligent, strong, independent woman, what I've learned being a model, some of the things are not cool. Like, but it's not
Agreed.
something you get to be comfortable talking about because you have to be very
Sure.
careful what you say or people attack your character. And so I've learned, and I hate to say this, but I've learned to just smile and do my thing, avoid people that I hear things about,
Sure.
and try to make my best judgment. I hate to say,
Well,
but that's
I think that's pretty common though in the industry, because you could have a photographer you love working with, and two people have decided that they made them feel uncomfortable, whatever that was. And then it's hard because then now you're monkey in the middle, and you're like, okay, do I ditch both of these people or do I keep both of these people, and we'll just monitor people's behavior. That's why I usually recommend for models group events whenever you can. Especially if they're paid group events. I know the TFP works out for like somebody like you who has content, you get the content out of the deal. But now with your OnlyFans and the fact that that you have people from work that are watching, does work have an issue with it? Because I've heard that that's been an issue for a lot of people.
I don't know that they like officially know. So
Okay.
I do a very good job of keeping my work, like my public persona is separate socially from my personal persona. Like Pinky is my nickname. Pinky was my nickname before I became a model. I've had pink hair for 8 years. I got Pinky tattooed on my arm. But I have separate accounts and I've tried to keep it separate, and I don't like I'm not showing my work logo. Like I do not. It's got
Sure.
my job like location. I don't do
Okay.
things when I'm at work. Like this is an exception because we're not doing anything. You know what I mean? But I'm not
Right.
in content. I'm not doing any. I try to keep everything very separate.
That's
But
smart.
no one's really given a crap. I have yet to have someone who's like, I'm saving their life, and they're like, hey,
How you doing?
what's up? I know you. And I'd be like, I have had people come up to me and they're like, I know you. And I'm like, from where? From what place? Which job? Tell me.
I need to know how to talk to you.
I want to know if I can acknowledge it or not. Because I've been in my career for 15 years. So I am, there's not a lot of pink haired EMTs. So I stand out everywhere I go. What can I say?
I get it. Having the short hair happens to me too.
Oh,
You have what?
I love your hair.
Thank you.
You have such girl balls. I don't know if I can say. I love it though. I love it.
One of my high school friends was commenting on it, and she's like, I wish I could rock that hairstyle, but she's like, I am not as cool and badass as you are. I'm like, who are we talking to right now? You have whatever hair you want, damn it, okay?
I always tell people that. And like little old ladies are always like, I can't rock it. I go, what color hair you think I'm gonna have at 80 if I'm kicking it? It ain't gonna be gray. Right. It ain't gonna be gray. It'll be pink.
Still own it, girls. Still own it. I love it. All right. Looks like Laura responded back. Ron said, so you're telling me Pinky isn't your government name? Everything I know is a lie. But okay, so Laura, her bad experience. Oh, I missed one. Hang on. That's the second one. Here we go. Never mind. She sent multiple. Okay. Went to a shoot at a photographer's studio a model was putting on. He was there and was pushy about shooting nudes, told him I didn't feel comfortable doing them. He then tried to get me to shoot implied and was pushy about it, and then asked about shooting with a sheer material, which was completely see-through. Once he realized I was getting nude, we shot briefly. I never got any images, and he was the same way with my friend. You know what? I hear that so often. That it's that push, that coercion, push, because like trying to push you beyond your boundaries, and that's a big part of what ends up becoming an issue, where you get that GWC, a guy with a camera versus an actual photographer, and the fact that she didn't get any photos back just basically goes to show that that's exactly. Oh, you said you weren't going to get nude. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does make. I was reading that and I'm like, I think that's what she meant.
Yeah. So, and that's something too, where one of the things I usually recommend to models is get a deposit, get the deposit up front. If something goes sideways and you don't get the rest of your money, you got something out of the deal.
Yeah. You should also always discuss everything. Like, even if
Agreed.
you're at a shootout, like you worked with me at a shootout, we discussed kind of, well, no, I don't know if we discussed, we were kind of just like, we're going to do something dark. And I loved it. But I discuss everything. Like, if I'm working with a co-model, I go, hey, what are you comfortable with? Male or female, doesn't matter, or anything in between. I discuss it, and you discuss boundaries. And I know that this kind of stuff isn't going to prevent everything from happening. I know it's not going to stop pushy photographers, but if you lay out your boundaries right from the gate and you say, this is what I do, this is what I don't do. Right. And I've also learned to weed out the GWCs for nude content and stuff like that because I charge. So like now, and I stick to my guns. I don't let anyone say your rates are too high. I know they're not. Well, I've done my research.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Your rates aren't high.
No, like I'm very affordable, cute, and affordable. So
who's adorable?
But like, you got to have boundaries in every situation. And it's like what I do on the way to a call. Me and my partner are talking about what we're going to do when we get there. You should always know what you're going into. Never go in blind. And I
heart him too, by the way, just so everybody's clear. He's a sweetheart.
Oh, my man. Oh.
Yeah, he's adorable.
So he kind of like, yeah, I was like an ice queen till I met him. He like thawed me out. I'm all big
Oh, I
ball and
hate those.
much now. He
There's
really
ice
is
on
a
my
good
heart for a
one.
reason, okay?
Yes. He's a good one. He's a good one. I got lucky
Yeah,
there. But
good. He
you
seems nice.
you yeah, and I'm giving him advice too cuz he's navigating through, and I feel bad cuz he's
Yep,
a male model, and I feel like male
it's
models,
different.
they get gypped out of so much, and I'm like trying
Yep.
to help him, and I sit here and I'm like, who would work with you? And I'm like, I know lots of ladies. Let me send you to all my
Yeah.
lady friends. They'll know who would work with you. I was like, and
Well,
he's great though.
yeah, you guys are cute together.
Thank
Angel
you.
said that for this is for Laura. Angel said that is not a photographer. Always follow your instinct. So obviously, Laura, you did what you should. Laura said we told the model putting on the event what happened, but we were told other models have shot with him and didn't have any issue with that. So that's exactly it. So a lot of times, what happens and the events I always say are the best thing to go to because everybody's marginally on their best behavior. Sometimes when you get a glimmer of that, then you know you're not going to work with that person solo. But with that being said, what ends up happening is there's a balance about perspective. He was pushing you on your boundaries. Somebody else he worked with probably didn't have those boundaries. So he could have pushed and he could have pushed past other people's boundaries. The problem is this cycle happens over and over again. What eventually happens is either the model gets pushed out of the industry because she just decides she's over it. And I keep saying she, but that's because I work with predominantly, women. And then the photographer eventually will get pushed out once that number reaches like 5 or 10 people who are like, yeah, I don't know about this guy. Like he pushed me to do X, Y, and Z. And sometimes I think what happens too is people are ashamed of what happens. Like they went on ahead and they went through with it. And then on the back end, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And somebody took a picture of it. And then there's this other realm, like a completely other realm of, what ends up happening. Rhea said facts.
I feel like sometimes people get away with bad behavior too because they may be paying.
Right. Oh, I
And
agree with you.
I
There are
hate to
some models
yeah.
that have admitted they will still work with the uncomfortable ones because they do it full time and they pay well. They just deal with it.
And I feel like sometimes people do speak out and they go to people like, unfortunately, Laura, I'm sorry that happened to you. And then the people they tell are afraid to make waves.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and I feel like that's not a good environment. Like, we need to have an environment. We're so good creatively. Like,
Right.
we're free creatively. Like, we need to have that same kind of mentality when it comes to safety. Like,
Yeah, well, and Laura's point is a very good point. She said, but that doesn't make our experience any less. And just because someone else didn't have a problem, it shouldn't have been pushed off. I agree with you. We've actually had this happen at an event before where I think 2 people were uncomfortable with someone's behavior. And I'm not going to go into details because then that looks like I'm putting laundry out there. But what we did was we had a separate conversation with that person after the event going, hey, here's what happened. And in that case, it was a fetish style shoot. So making that separation from professional to fetish, there's the line. And sometimes people have a tendency to tip one way or the other. And a lot of times people who are in the fetish world have a tendency to tip into their fetish as opposed to staying out of it and staying in that professional mode. So I agree with you. It should have been handled better. That's where having that communication comes in, because if somebody's uncomfortable, obviously we want to have that conversation, because maybe in your case, Laura, I don't know, but in some cases what happens is like, for example, Pinky, actually, when I saw you, what was it? Scott St. John was standing right beside me and I was like, oh, it's my model crush. And you're like, yes, girl. Like we're just like we're having a good time. And Scott goes, but I can't say that. He's not wrong. In some situations, if he didn't know you as a model, he can't make a comment like that. I get to make that comment because I had already started to build a rapport with you. But he's right. In some situations, I can get away with being funny or humorous because that's what it is. But it's not creepy or uncomfortable. And that's where I talked to a couple of Crystal. I'm going to get to yours in just a second. I just saw that you chimed in. I've had a couple of male photographers reach out to me over various things, going, "Hey, did I handle this properly?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you did a good job, but maybe you need to adjust this just a little bit." I appreciate the fact that they're trying to figure it out, and that's where I have a hang up sometimes when we have somebody who's somebody says has made them uncomfortable. Because do we ever give them the opportunity to adapt and adjust? Because I think that's important. Okay, somebody brought something to me. I apologize. Didn't mean to push beyond your boundaries. Sorry, I made you uncomfortable. That doesn't seem to be what's actually happening. That's my frustration point with it. Laura, what'd you say? Oh, we have comments. Hang on, let me catch up here. Laura said, yes, but female photographers have a lot more leeway. I agree with you. And I think women have kind of set that standard. There's a comfort level because a lot of the male photographers that are successful don't make women feel uncomfortable, regardless of whether they're shooting with clothes on or clothes off. I don't know if they realize that's the reason they're successful, but the successful ones are successful for that reason. Women are just usually more comfortable with women because typically, and I won't say always, but I have as of yet to have somebody tell me a story about a female photographer that did something inappropriate.
Yeah.
Hang on, I got to get caught up on some comments. Let's see, where did Crystal go? Crystal, it's better to speak up and say what needs to be said than keep quiet. The photographer will learn to keep the boundaries. No, I agree with you, Crystal. Absolutely. Evolutionary Flux, just joining. I'm a photographer too, and I have also had some uncomfortable, unprofessional situations on the job. It's definitely, did I miss one? Yeah, it's definitely not happening. Ha ha ha. No one who was inappropriate to me when I was shooting ever gave a legit apology. Yeah, and that's it. Like, even if it's brought up, I think it depends on how the person responds, because models are inappropriate too. Let's be honest. There are some models that are difficult to work with, or they create some of the drama that happens. So I know we're focused on photographers because of the topic for today, but it happens with models too. But I agree with you, Flux. I know who you are, but I'm not going to call you out. I love you. It's definitely one of those things where everybody just has to be on their best behavior. They just don't do it. Just be on your best behavior. Be a professional. And Ria said it's okay to set healthy boundaries. Absolutely. Flux is does your first name start with a J? Because I'm pretty sure I know who you are. I could be wrong. I have a person that uses Flux in another capacity, so I could be wrong. Angel said communication is key. And so here's another thing with the communication. I had a model reach out to me last year. They wanted to work with somebody in particular, and the person happened to live in the fetish world as well too. I'm psychic apparently now. And they reached out to me. They're like, hey, I know you've worked with this person, can you reference them? And I said, look, there's been a couple of people who have been uncomfortable by this person. And then I have a bunch of people who had no issue with this person at all. You're dealing with somebody who lives in the fetish world. Set your boundaries, set them up front and stick to them. As long as you do that, you do you. Take a person with you. That's the other thing, is whenever you can take a person with you.
Oh yeah.
Crystal, I agree. We all have to just be good to each other. I'm a female photographer, and I'm just always hearing things about others, sometimes anonymous, sometimes not. And it's just crazy. Crystal, we're with you. And unfortunately, a lot of the crazy stuff that you hear about has to do with people with bad intentions. And, there's photographers, and I'm not going to name any of them. One recently, spoke out about somebody talking about him, in group environments, or just speaking out about him in general. And a lot of people were like, okay, because some people, as far as they're concerned, they've decided about him. Whether he's this person or not is something else. But what it looks like is happening is everything is done under a guise. Like, everything is done to get the person there and then push them beyond what they actually want to do, or talk to them in a manner that's rude. All right. What else do we have? Evolutionary. Fetish people should know better than to disrespect a boundary, but they don't always. I agree with you. I mean, that's a big part of that. I'm going to call it an industry because that's what it feels like. That's a big part of that is you're always supposed to have a conversation before something happens, especially, if it's one-on-one or even in a group. Rhea said exactly, boundaries and safety.
Consent.
Exactly. That's what we do as adults, or at least that's what we're supposed to do.
I always treat, so like I said to you in the beginning of my modeling career, I didn't want to do nude work. And then when I started to, I was like, this is kind of weird. I'm like butt naked in front of a stranger. But then as I've started doing it, I realized the people I'm most comfortable working with are the people where I don't even realize that I'm naked. I can pretend I have clothes on, and it feels like I have clothes on. It should be the same no matter what genre you're doing. It should feel like you have clothes on. No one should be touching you unless they're, unless they've asked permission and they're doing an adjustment and you're comfortable with this. Like, no one should be touching you. No one should be making grossly sexual comments. Like,
that's the one. That's the thing that gets me, because I think sometimes what happens with men, and not all men, of course, but I think sometimes what happens with men is that they think they're giving a compliment. And we're going, yeah, it's not really exactly what that is, though,
It's, and there's a way to do that. And like we said earlier, I have male friends who make jokes and there's nothing wrong with that. Like they're making comments. Most of the time they're ripping on me in some way, but like that's different. I know them. They know me. Right. That's a different situation. When you're working with a professional, it should be professional. Like you wouldn't want me to come to your house if you called 911 and be like, yo, I'm Pinky. Like, you want to be a professional no matter what setting you're in. If you want to be taken seriously, model or photographer.
Yeah. Well, and Angel just, I've got a couple of comments here again real quick.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I hate having to interrupt everybody, but like, I don't want everybody in the comments to feel like they're really. Angel said, if they say no to a companion, just don't shoot. A photographer should have no issue with that. If it makes the model feel comfortable, the better. I have a story for this one too, because I agree with you on that. And then we've got Scott McLaughlin. What up, Dawn? What up, Pinky? I tried to create a safe and comfortable experience for all. I think doing shoots with several models together helps. I will say I try to have another person with me at all times, but I always treat everyone well and have a great experience. Well, Scott, you're one of the photographers I would be referring to as a man that doesn't make women feel uncomfortable. And I know, Pinky, you've worked with him, so I would assume that you can probably attest to that.
Oh, yeah, I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. I was also there with like 3 other girls. So like,
well, exactly. That's what he's saying.
And one of them happened to be like one of my best friends. And one of them was Kiti. So like, I was like, all right, I know her. And then the other one was River. And I hadn't really had a chance to like talk to River, but then I was hanging out with her. So like, really, I like you, Scott, but I was hanging out with my girls. So like,
River's one of my favorite people too. I mean, I love everybody that I've worked with so far. Like, I can't say I've had like a horrible model experience. Like, I think there's probably been a few where if we ever work together again, we work together again. If not, it's not a big deal. Evolutionary Flux said, "Oh God, the compliments."
And I have
good.
I have a little model horror story. It's not anyone in the area, and I'm not gonna like name names, but I had someone one time, and I actually was taken back. And I was like, I did a double take, but like they were like, stick out your T and A. And I was like, wait a minute.
There's softer words than that.
Did we say it like that? And I was like, I'm not, okay. I will say that I'm not easily offended. And
sure. Well, it's crass though. It's tacky.
I was like that. I would prefer if we communicated that in a different way. It was kind of hard not to laugh. And then, of course, I like had Channing Tatum in my head because he said it. And then I'm like singing that song. But that's a little bit pushing it. Like you don't, I'm a human being. I have body parts, yes, we can refer to them in a more professional way than teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But that's exactly it. Professional versus not professional. And it's something so simple because, some people, it's just the way they speak, but there's different mannerisms and professionalism we have to use when we're in an environment like that. Ron Holiday said, in response to you mentioning models bringing a chaperone, it's crazy to me how many female models have come without one the first time they work with me. I always highly suggest they bring one since I'm a male photographer. I agree with that, actually. So the story that I had a model reach out to me after a situation had happened. She had set to, it was a hotel shoot. She had set up with this gentleman. They were going to, hotel was booked. They were going to shoot. And I think it was the day before they were supposed to shoot. She told him, okay, well, my boyfriend's coming with me. And she hadn't mentioned it prior. And the photographer lost his shit. Like, it was just like a crime that absolutely not. I don't want anybody else there. And she's like, am I wrong? And I said, no. I said, you just dodged a bullet. You just dodged a bullet. I said, nobody should have any issue with you bringing somebody with you. Now, I get with significant others, there can be kind of a gray area because some are more comfortable with it than others. And, they might get their nose bent out of shape over something, but he can be in the bathroom. He didn't have to be there watching you shoot the whole time. He's just there for her safety, and hers and your safety should be important. Because, even for me, I'm a female photographer. I can shoot here from home. But if I have a guy reach out to me who wants to shoot and I'm like, okay, well, I don't know you. I'm probably not going to shoot you in my home, but I would probably be less worried about it if it were a female. And it's just so sad that it works that way. Oh, we have more comments. Scott said, I'm crushing Pinky, LOL, just playing. Remember the straw. I'm sure that means something. Did you have straw in places you shouldn't?
Have you ever sat on a bale of hay naked?
No, I can honestly say I have not.
I have more than once. It's not fun.
I love that you've done it more than once. I love that it's a common occurrence.
I don't know why people want to turn me into a cowgirl. I do not look country, but they just like
maybe that's the reason. It's like the contrast and contradiction. Flux said, I have done a lot of stuff in entertainment, and the idea of professional can be very, very blurry in those settings. I would agree with you. Oh, I just heard from Kitty. She said, I'm so sorry. Just finished up. My appointment was a little late and the tattoo was a bit larger than expected. No worries. We've entertained ourselves.
Yeah, I was going to say, I said, hi. And if you want to have
see if she still wants to come on. Yeah, I'm going to ask her.
Yeah. I got to get back to work anyway. My partner's probably like, where are you?
All right. Well, I love you and I appreciate you.
Hey, thank you for letting me hop on. I'm happy to be a part of the conversation. Hopefully I see you soon.
I know. Bye. I need to. Bye. All right. I have more comments. Let's see what we got. Bye, honey.
Bye.
All right. Who did this one? I think I'm behind on comments now. Let's see. How hard is it to be professional? It's not really that hard. Also, I do not shoot in hotels really because of the bad connotation. I'd rather shoot outside or in a studio. You know what? I agree with you. I haven't done the hotel thing. I would rather book an Airbnb than to book a hotel. At least with the Airbnb, you have different rooms and spaces that you can use. Amina. A professional courtesy, they should be at least telling the photographer that they plan on bringing an escort. Yes, the red flag still stands if they are hostile about it, but it should be discussed prior. I agree with you. I think that's something that off the break should have been said is, here's how I model, here's what I do, here's how I travel, here's all the requirements. John, we use blankets on hay bales. I could see that. I don't know that I'd want to sit on straw either. Let's see. Larry, I prefer the models bring a chaperone. It definitely helped the model feel more relaxed, and it puts the chaperone to work as well. That's how you made your bestie and Tara's husband, and Corey, for that matter. Scott, got to run first day of vacation. Have fun, Scott. All right. Mandari, are you still in here? Are you still following and paying attention? Do you want to talk about your event? Kit hasn't seen my message yet. It hasn't delivered through to her, so I don't know that she's going to be coming on for this one. Might have to do it a different day. Make the chaperone hold a reflector. Well, I mean, they're just standing around. Absolutely. Let's see. I just messaged Mandari so she can talk about her event. Anybody else have topics they want to talk to? Yeah. Yes, Mandari. Yes, please. Norse Kitten said Marty always works as a free assistant. I heart him. Like, I don't know what it is with him, but I always want to give him a hug every time I see him. He just seems like such a sweetheart. I know I hug everybody, but there are some people like they just seem more huggable than others. I actually warn people. I don't know about you guys, but I'm usually going in for the hug as I warn people that I'm a hugger. Now, John, do you actually have an OnlyFans? All right, Mandari's coming. She's going to talk about her curvy event.
There I am.
Welcome back.
Hi. Sorry, I got a phone call quick.
Oh, no, you're fine. Tell us about your curvy event. Date, time, place,
thank
that
you.
sort of thing.
So on May 20th, which is I think in 2 Saturdays now, I'm having a curvy model event. So it's going to be size 10 and up for the models. There's 14 models signed up currently, and it's at a historic barn in Ashton, Maryland, which is in the DC area. Nudity is allowed inside and outside. And the barn has such a cool aesthetic. And there's also little like outbuildings on the property that are kind of overgrown with vines and that are caving in that are just really cool and aesthetic. And like old carts that are made of steel and wood that have plants growing on them. It's just such a cool place. And the barn, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I said I've been there. I know what you're talking about.
Oh, so cool. Yeah. And the barn on the inside is also set up for production. So like there's like some really nice clear areas, huge windows, so really beautiful natural light. So I'm really looking forward to this event. A lot of people's portfolios have girls that are size 6 and under. So I've gathered a really great group of models that are considered mid-size and plus size for this event. So if you're looking to expand your portfolio with some experienced mid-size and plus size model, it's a great time to do it, a great time to network. And a lot of people don't realize it, but the average size of the American woman now is 14, 16. So that's considered plus size. So if you are shooting clients, this is a good way for you to beef up your portfolio to appeal to the most average size of the woman in the United States. So boom, let's go. You can message me if you're interested in attending.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, can you put in the DMV group, can you put the link in the comments? I know you've posted it in the group, but if you could put the link in the comments, that'd be great. And actually, Flux, do you want to come on? You don't have to do video if you don't want to. You can just do audio and talk about some of your tips and tricks and all that sort of stuff for like having a conversation with somebody who's being inappropriate. We have discussed it, but I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. We'll let her figure that out. What else do you have going on these days? Because you took a break there for a hot minute, right?
So real quick, I don't want to take up all your time, but last year I had to have 3 surgeries, and it was either what do they call it, arthroscopic, or it was like internal. So luckily I only have 2 very small scars that you can't see now. But I had 3 surgeries, so I was actually out for 6 months of the year healing. So I barely modeled last year, and so I just got back to modeling, I want to say in March of this year, and I kind of hit the ground running. I announced that I was going to be shooting again, and I've been fully booked, and I was kind of like worried people were going to forget about me. but
Oh, I could
but
see
like I'm
that.
like, yeah, I was like, man, I haven't been in the public eye much for the past year. I just really felt like maybe people would have just moved on from me, you know. But I feel really lucky, and people have been really wonderful, and people have been booking me. So I've been pretty busy. Um, I'm working on this event, and once this event is complete, after the 20th, I'll be spending time setting up the next one, which, if you guys want to keep an eye out for, you can friend request me or follow me. But we're going to be doing an event at a venue. Well, it's going to be between an Airbnb and a Pure Space place, because
Okay.
a lot of times Airbnbs don't allow photography, so it's going to depend on if I can find one that allows photography. But we want to do a house with a pool and
Yeah.
invite models of all different sizes to attend. So if I do a Peer Space one, not gonna lie, it's probably going to be another curvy model event, because then I'm going to have to pay a lot of money. But
Right.
if I can get an Airbnb though, then I'll have all different models there, and we can like share the cost and like, you know, whatever. It'd be really cool. So that's the next thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see where taking a break could be an issue, because the other thing you've run into too is you've had sorry. Um uh Scott McLaughlin said the work you and Scott St. John do is amazing. You guys always have such a, he's another one of my favorite people.
He's one of my favorite people in the world. I love shooting with him. He always brings music, and I don't know if you guys know this about me, but Mandari's major in college was music. That's what my degree is in, so I love
Okay.
it. So it's always a good time. And plus, like, you can be like, I want to hang upside down from that tree over there. Do you think you can capture it? And he will be like, yeah, let's do it. And he will
Yeah.
totally just make it happen. He's so cool.
He is. Well, and he's another one of those photographers that doesn't make women feel uncomfortable. Hi, Janine. Give
Yes.
me just a second. I'm going to pull Janine in. I'm going to park her for a second while we'll chat with you. Hi, Janine.
Hi. Hi.
So
I
yes,
have no idea what
I
I'm doing, but hi.
it's okay. And I did have the wrong J name, so it's amazing that your name started with a J.
Yeah, that's why I was so weirded out. Like, how the fuck do you know that? It's like, there's no
That
way.
makes it even
We have
better.
like, yeah, we have a person in common. Like, I did that with it. Anyway, hi.
Yeah, I thought you were my friend Jennifer. She runs
No.
Flux Images or Flux Imagery, something along that line. I
Oh.
thought that's who you were.
No. Weird though.
Mandari,
But no.
you have lost several of your accounts along the way. I feel like that's got to be like taxing and time consuming to rebuild.
So before I get on this soapbox too much, because I get really hype about this, and I actually quit Instagram for a year because of this. But Instagram is very biased against curvy girls. Like, things that like thinner people post, if I would post the same thing, my whole account would be taken away and banned. And it's crazy because when I appeal stuff, like, I'll literally email them with screenshots of girls' pages where something has been up for over a year that shows the same amount that I'm showing, but they overly sexualize our bodies and decide to ban us. So it's annoying, because it's like they get away with murder and we can't even wear a revealing bikini sometimes.
Well, I have
So
a hard time with that when it comes to men too, because men can
Mm.
literally have on absolutely nothing, and I never see them get flagged and pulled.
No. So there's definitely a bias there. Whether it's because it's the way they've programmed the AI or it's actual individuals that are reviewing it, I don't know.
Right.
So I only recently recreated an account earlier this year, because unfortunately that's the primary platform where photographers seem to book. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'm missing out on bookings by not being on here. So I created
Right.
one. And now I'm like, my beautiful artistic nude work, even if it's censored, I don't share it there because they'll delete my
Yeah.
account. And my account's even set to over 18, so people can't view it unless their age is listed over 18 on their profile. So it's really frustrating and annoying. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's always been my curiosity too is, with a platform, something like Instagram, you can have a
Mhm.
kids version and an adult version. They can be kept
Yeah.
very, very separate, so I don't know
Mhm.
why it's always been such a big deal. All right, well, I'm going to let you go because you're a busy girl. I'm going to talk to Janine for a little bit. And I appreciate you, and I hope your event goes really well. I'm sorry I have to miss it.
That's okay. Thank you. Hopefully we'll catch you at the pool one.
Deal. I'm in.
All
Bye,
right. Have a
honey.
good one. Bye, everybody.
Okay, Janine, before I get to you, Ernesto would like everybody to know that Scott McLaughlin is an amazing photographer, and Scott would like you too, brother Ernesto. All right, Janine. So talk to me about some of your experience then, because you're a photographer, correct?
I am, yeah. I do many things, but photography has been one of the main things for quite a
Okay.
while. So I have done some publication and kind of got into that doing events. So it's like most of the stuff that I've done in that realm. So did did publication with events and then events for other things. And then some fashion, and also under the like events umbrella is some raves.
Okay.
So might imagine the
Oh, yeah.
type
I've
of
been to those.
yeah, you might imagine the type of professionalism. Not to
Been to
say, of
those.
course, that it's like a
Free
super
for
big
all.
issue. Yeah, like
Right.
there are people who can keep their shit together, but there's some people who cannot. And
Okay.
I mean, especially in your area, actually, like I hear a lot about various like DJs, producers, promoters,
Yeah.
whoever, just being shitty to people.
Well, and I think sometimes a lot of that stems from the fact that they have so much access to people.
Mhm.
And again, it can come back to perspective, somebody's perception of an encounter, and then that starts to cascade. And in some cases, it's absolutely accurate. I've met those people. I used to do the club scene years ago, and did some promoting and stuff too. And a lot of times, the people in those type of positions, they're designed to be beautiful people because they're designed to bring you in. They are the marketing for themselves. So what ends up happening with that is they look great on the surface, and then it's like once you get around some of those borders that when the curtain comes down, if you will, and you get to see behind the curtain, is usually when you really figure out who they actually are.
Absolutely. I have also, I mean, so there's varying forms of disrespect that I have seen and experienced and heard about within the realms that I've worked. But one of the strangest to me is the phenomenon of like a company or a person or whatever who's hiring you being too big to pay. Because I've had that
Interesting.
happen a few times where like I've worked for a record label. Well,
Okay.
I worked directly for them twice, and then I've worked with them, but for someone else like another time or two. And
Okay.
they're like the biggest drum and bass label in the UK. But what
Okay.
they straight up told me was they do not pay American tour photographers.
Interesting. And what was the
Yeah,
reason behind that?
they didn't have one because fuck us, I guess. I don't. They didn't give
Okay.
one.
Now, but did they contract you though?
No, they wouldn't even sign my contract, and it was just usage. I was like, fine, I get it. Your hospital. I just want to come to the show and shoot it. But
Oh, okay. So did you do it like media style?
what do you mean?
Like where you got like a media pass so that you got in for free or
Oh
whatever the
yeah,
deal was?
yeah. I got like a
Okay.
plus one or plus two.
I gotcha.
Which fine, whatever initially. But I think
Mhm.
after I shot for them like a time or two, whatever it was, I was like, hey, so, you guys are hospital. You're here now.
Right.
Can we talk about paying me? And they were just like, yeah, no, we don't pay American tour photographers. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a thing here too, though, because I know I've been to a couple of events where because I had my camera with me, like I got like backstage access, if you will, not necessarily to like a concert or anything, but because I don't usually go to those. But it's nice having the access, and sometimes I'll take advantage of the access just to have the content. But
Mhm.
I came across something, and this is a little off topic, but I came across something recently. Somebody sent me something, and I was floored by it. they sent it to me. I didn't know why they sent it to me, so I dug into it, and it was labeling itself as a fashion show. Okay, and the photographers and the models could submit a form so that they could be a photographer or a model. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, where's the pay for this? No, you got to pay $150 to go to this event to shoot. And they even told you that you had to shoot 3 people. You had to shoot 3 people with 3 different looks, and that was how many photos you had to give them at the end.
So they were telling you what to do.
I'm like, I'm paying you to work for you? I don't understand. I was like, where did you come across this? How is this a business model? But the problem is people will do it to try to gain the experience. And I'm like, all right.
The newbies will.
With that being said, one time. You try it one time and then you don't do it after that. That's the reason I don't publish. If somebody asks me directly, like if a model goes, hey, somebody wants to publish this photo that we took together, I'll be like, okay, fine. But I do not go out of my way to publish because I don't pay.
Yeah.
They make money. I don't.
Yeah. I've had people publish my stuff without my permission a couple of times. That's always been fun.
They're not even supposed to be able to do that. You know, that's the other thing. But
yeah, there was a I mean, I guess you could call this publishing. That's sort of how I think of it in my head, but maybe it's different. But there was this band that I photographed once. They were sort of on a tour, and I photographed them at a festival that I was paid by a magazine to shoot.
Okay.
And they just like found my pictures on my Facebook at the time, pulled them off, and I mashed a few of them together and made a T-shirt that they were then selling on tour.
Oh,
and they just like didn't tell me.
That's a lawsuit right there.
Yeah, no, I definitely, that's how I got money out of it, was by threatening a lawyer that I couldn't afford to get.
Absolutely.
But I talked to their tour manager and I was like, nah, fuck nah, y'all are not, we're not doing this.
Yeah. Well, I guess I need to bring us back to topic.
Sure,
so,
yeah.
How do you usually handle somebody that's being inappropriate?
So to be perfectly honest, this is something I still struggle with, even though I've been around doing this stuff for a long time. I'm never quite sure, like exactly what.
I have things for you. I have things for you.
Sure. So
because this is my superpower.
Yeah, I can tell you what I have done. Because I'm a pretty outspoken person and straightforward, and you know I mean what I say basically.
Sure.
But if I'm uncomfortable, I can also get very quiet and not really know what to do. I sort of like freeze a little bit.
That's common.
So
yeah, that's normal.
So I might like laugh it off or like maybe try to change the subject if I can think enough to do that in the moment. But if it's like, I mean, like I was at a rave once down in Ocean City, Maryland, and this guy just came up to me and was like saying, just completely randomly, unprompted, no conversation beforehand, drunk as hell, saying the most disgusting things to me. And all I could think to do was go, oh, ha, 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 you're drunk. But
drunk people is a little different. That's actually another thing when it comes to shoots, is there should never be drugs or alcohol involved in a photo shoot. I can't tell you how often somebody brings alcohol.
Oh, really? I haven't done as much of the stuff with models. I've done some of that. So I have never had somebody show up trash to a shoot. But you know, when you work in bars and nightclubs, like that's kind of what's around you.
Oh yeah. Well, so my approach is a couple of things. So I either kill people with kindness. I always tell everybody I'm a diplomat. I'm going to find the balance somewhere between whatever's going on. If it's a situation where I'm witnessing something, like, you know, maybe it's a photographer, Laura, hang on real quick. Laura, you can find me on Facebook. You're watching me on YouTube, but you can find me on Facebook. You can find me with Dawn Brown everywhere. I have a website, withdawnbrown.com. However you want to do it. I've got an email address, or you can message me on Facebook. Completely up to you. But so it's killing with kindness is a big one. Another thing that I try to do sometimes is in the moment, I might do the same thing. I might like change the topic. Like I'll just step in between the two people. And then later I might pull that photographer aside, or even the model. There's been a couple of times I had to be like, so, hey, you know, and then have like a side conversation with them later. And then, Mandari, thank you for joining us.
Oh, and by the way, I want to say to Mandari, I love your work. I would like to work with you someday.
Mendari, Flux, make it happen.
Yeah,
She-
Illuminated Artist Consultants is like the editing side of what I do, and
okay.
then Photo Illume is just the photography side. So
Okay. All right.
fine
Well, then
tune.
you guys can connect on like Facebook or Instagram. She's got
Sure, yeah,
both.
yeah, yeah.
Um, she said, thank you so much. She says she's down.
Sweet.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, so a lot of times I try to do those things separately. Now, if it's something like very like grossly inappropriate in the moment, I'm just one of those people. I'm like, look, no, you need to leave. That was
Yeah.
absolutely inappropriate. Like, I have no problem being like a mama bear. Like, I guess that's the superpower is I will mama bear a situation.
I can do that in very many situations, but I think in the moment sometimes I sort of, if it's really uncomfortable, I sort of panic a little bit, and I'm like,
Sure,
is that
that's
the appropriate
understandable.
reaction? Am I inviting ire from this person if I like stand up to them right now? Or do you have to
No.
like gray rock the situation? You know what I mean? Like,
So I get that because that's actually what models have commented on, and that's why I made that comment earlier about models getting a deposit before they show up to a shoot, because I have talked to a lot of models where they've been in uncomfortable situations. They said the same thing you did. They kind of laughed it off, and they kept pushing and they kept pushing through to get done because they wanted out of the situation, but they knew they weren't going to get paid because they didn't get a deposit up front if they didn't finish with the shoot. So I think that's why it's so important to have extra people involved a lot of times when you shoot with models, whether the model brings somebody, whether you have somebody, whatever that might be, because that's actually really common. A lot of times people don't want to speak up in the moment because there's a conflict that's going to happen potentially. And if it's just two people and there's nobody else around to witness or hear anything, yeah, that's uncomfortable. I could see
and
that.
especially if you have my approach to things in those situations, because I am so direct and like no nonsense about stuff.
Sure.
I feel like that it's kind of hard to judge in the moment what sort of person you're dealing with and whether or not that sort of approach is going to make it worse, Yeah. And for me, like the deposit thing, it wasn't, I would say really only once would that have helped. And this was sort of early on, but like a friend of mine, or a couple of people I knew, hired me to shoot a boat party. So like a rave on a boat, essentially. And
oh God, there's no getting out of that.
Right? You can't just
unless you're jumping on board.
Yeah, it was mostly fun. However, one of the dudes that they work with, like, got pretty trashed and wanted to like start telling me how to do my job, and then so already it's like uncomfortable, and I'm like telling him like, dude, are you a photographer? Like, don't worry about it.
I had something similar like that happen, and it actually happened with a model. And unfortunately, the model was inebriated. She was high, and she kept trying to control the situation. And I looked at her. I said, I don't need anything from the people that are here. And I'm working with you directly. And here's what we're going to do. Like, basically, it was just like I redirected and took control of the situation, as opposed to being like, look, mother effer, like, because that's really what I want to do usually. But sometimes it's just
this guy though. Yeah, no, but that's I am in a lot of situations, but I worry sometimes.
I get it.
Like,
I get it.
That maybe that's not the right. But yeah, so this guy though, like, it wasn't just comments. Like, they got to a point where I had just done like a round of shoots of shots of the DJ, and I kind of stepped back for a second and was looking through my shots and talking to the DJ's girlfriend, and I was just saying like, oh, how great he is, and I love seeing his shows and whatever. And this guy who had been bugging me chucks a bottle of suntan lotion at me from across the boat.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Now, was there no security in this event?
Nah, he did get fired after that.
But he was working. Okay.
Yeah, no, he was involved in the process. Don't ask me what he did. I'm not sure. Other than just show up and be an asshole. I'm not sure. But yeah, no, thankfully they did fire him afterwards. But yeah, that was just nuts. So this is like what I mean when I say like in rave territory, like professionalism is there's a lot of gray areas.
Sure. And I think that's with anything you do. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to work in corporate America and I don't miss it. I mean, I still have a full-time job that I work, but I work from home and I do not miss working in an office. It's the same thing. Some people
Yeah.
get away with stuff that other people can't. There's favoritism. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Norse Kitten. We know who keeps Larry in check.
Oh, I know North Kitten. Hi, North Kitten.
I know. Isn't she delightful? I love her.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
not-
we're supposed to do a shoot sometime soon. I'm dealing with
Yay.
medical nonsense, but as soon as that's dealt with, then we have
Oh,
something
well,
planned.
I hope your medical nonsense works out for you.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah. And then Bob Sleeper just made it. Sorry, I missed Pinky. Bob, when we actually shut this out, the whole live will be on YouTube, and you can check it out from the beginning if you want. Well, we have hit the 1.5 hour mark. Janine, is there anything else you want to go over?
No, but just to say thank you. I appreciate your thoughts about like how to navigate that stuff because sometimes I
Absolutely.
feel like I get it right, but sometimes I'm not so sure. So
None of us get it right all the time, me included.
Yeah.
If you need me to mama bear somebody, you just call me, okay?
Sure. Next time a drunk jerk says some gross things to me, I'll just like hit you up on Facebook.
There you go. Here, I need you to talk to Dawn.
Right? Yeah.
She has something to say to you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm logging off. Thank you to everybody who chimed in since we didn't get Kitty. I will try to redo this with Kitty. She did not, unfortunately, my messages did not go through to her on Facebook. I think she's having an internet issue as well, too. But thank you, guys. I appreciate you all. Have a good night. Good night, Norse Kitten. Sending kisses.